Alright folks, I'm going to try and make this one again. It's about the sixth time I've tried this. Kind of hard to make these sometimes with people running in the house or dogs or whatever. But anyway, this particular individual posted a video or posted a log up on the Ecmlink group complaining about a bang at wide open throttle, trying to figure out what's going on as far as that's concerned. So I'm just going to go over a little bit of it. This is a speed density tune, so this will probably help some of you guys where I haven't gone over speed density as much here lately. So just going over a few things here. First and foremost, as far as, I've got most of everything that can be logged here as far as torque, ECU, boost, battery, and ISC position. We could enable those or get them captured so we can see those values. If it doesn't have a fuel pressure sending unit, it's going to be kind of hard to log that one, but something to do for the future anyway. Just going over it, basically we've got an AEM wideband here. I'm going to suspect that it's probably running about where it should be at idle. Let me pop up my air-fuel ratio estimate here. But that being said, probably close to matching the gauge at idle. We go over to wide open throttle. This is where I'm generally telling people to try and film their wideband gauge so they can go back and look at it, and compare, see if it's matching close to the gauge. If we've got 11.0 here and 11.0 on the gauge, matching pretty closely, but this is where you want to be double checking more than anywhere else. So the boost isn't real high, looking about 22, 23 psi as far as the boost, and our injector duty cycles are looking pretty good at about 50%. Coolant temps are in check. TPS volts 5 volts with 100% throttle. Off the throttle, looking at zero throttle, and 0.65, relatively close as far as doing the TPS adjust there as far as that's concerned. Fuel trims are looking good. He's not simulating a wideband. We can also see that here by just looking at the O2 value. It's not a square wave, so we can tell just by that alone that he's not simulating a narrowband O2. But that being said, the trims look pretty good, pretty spot on as far as that's concerned. And but once we get over here to the wide open throttle section here, if we take off the air fuel ratio estimate, we can see that little spike there, but we see where the RPMs are taking a hit right here where it's dipping down, and then shortly after that, we'll let's drag our little bar over here. You can see shortly after that, this is where the RPMs about as high as they go before they take a dip, and right after that we see the air fuel ratio spike up where it goes lean, and that's basically from where the fuel doesn't get ignited, so it's not reading the oxygen and the carbon dioxide in the O2 sensor, and it spikes up, it goes past the sensor. The reason why it's not happening at this exact moment here is you've got to think by the time it doesn't get ignited, it still has to go down the exhaust stream and past the O2 sensor, and that's where we see the spike afterwards. So now whether that's because of a spark plug, either a bad type, gap could be too wide, weak spark plug wires, weak coil unplug, without an ignition box, bad injector, whatever the case, that's where you're going to have to go in and start diagnosing that and having that fun there. As far as the knock here, I don't know if that's real knock here. It's not real high as far as the timing. We're not real high as far as boost, so this could be phantom knock. It could be some crappy fuel. Could be could be a number of things. That's where you got to start looking at those things and see what it is. Maybe pour some race gas and see if it disappears or if it stays the same. If it stays the same, more than likely it's going to be real knock. Or I'm sorry, if you pour some race gas in and it stays the same, it's probably going to be phantom knock. Those are things you've got to just go in and diagnose and try and figure out. Going over to ECU config, I do see that he's got 1100 RPM as far as the target idle, and going back to his log here, see the idle is a little bit low, or I'm sorry, not low, high, if I can get my words out right here today. But the idle's a little bit high, but it's pretty spot on to what he's got that he's targeting in Ecmlink. I don't know if he's just matching what it's already wanting to idle at due to maybe an air leak or something. Maybe just got some big cams having a hard time keeping it going, so he's got a high RPM. I don't know, but either way, That's something I'm not really familiar with what he's got going on there. Fuel sliders, they're not being adjusted. They're all zeroed out. You got global dead time at 345. Timing zeroed out. Math comp not using any of the math comp sliders to help with speed density. Don't really need this one checked. We're not using math clamp as far as that's concerned, so it's not going to hurt anything to have it checked there, but don't really need it. Speed density going over here, got a little bit blocky. I'm assuming for the most part this is just a stock table. We'll probably use some smoothing. You can see where it's a little bit blocky in here. So we've got about 56 as far as our VE here, and then it jumps up to 75. So you're going to be adding a big squirt of fuel right here, so it may not be very smooth there. These are the things where I want to kind of smooth it out and gradually go up, not have a low number and then jump up real high. But as far as the right side down here, being that we're over 100, I'm just going to assume that with the global's not adjusted correctly. Could probably make some global adjustments to the fuel injectors. But other than that, if it's doing what it's doing and you're hitting that target, it's all right overall as far as that's concerned. Other than just maybe some smoothing needed. Not complaining too much there. Looking at our aux maps, I can tell that we don't have updated firmware, or probably don't have updated software as well. And also too, that being said, going back to the fuel tab, missing a couple of tabs here, one of those being for fuel cut. I know someone made a suggestion on the group that maybe he was hitting the fuel cut feature, but that's not an issue here because we don't have that here due to the old firmware as far as that's concerned. So moving on, idle air, I don't know why he's using it. I've never really used it with speed density. This wasn't made for that. Maybe there's some trick there that I'm not aware of where people are using idle air clamp with speed density that I'm not aware of. But if it works, great. Otherwise, I'm not sure why it's enabled. Again, just to confirm, we're not enabling narrowband simulation. ALS knock. Basically, I believe this is a stock value here as far as that's concerned. So definitely don't have to worry about ignoring any knock there because I believe it's still the stock values. I'm not using anti-lag. Fuel pressure solenoid not being used. EGR solenoid not being used. Boost controls not being used. Look okay here. I probably wouldn't have the coolant check engine light so high because it's easy to get up to 210. That's not even a real high temperature. That's probably a normal operating temperature, but it's up to the user there. I'd probably set the not check engine light on for maybe 1 instead of 3. You're ignoring it at a little bit too much if you get up to 3. Coolant offset not even being used. Probably doesn't look like it needs to be. I don't know. I haven't seen a whole lot of driving around town. I'm not sure why we haven't enabled hot start enrichment on. And we've got activate fans full on. This is probably where I would use the coolant offset, bump it up, maybe 20, 30, whatever, just test it out. That way we're not having to use the fans on full time. That gets old when you're using that when the car's off and you're trying to turn the key on and run your batteries down. So that's where I like to use the coolant offset, especially if we've got a 2G. A first gen probably isn't going to make a difference because can't really control it with the ECU as far as that's concerned. Aside from that, we've got our sensor here. I do see he's got a wideband sensor here. We probably lock the intake and barometric pressure code and the MDP code. The others you can leave alone. And then if we go over here to our direct access, only one that's changed is just the octane table and the timing table. Not looking bad. I will say this one does look fairly smooth as far as the octane table here. I'm not sure where he got this table or if he made it, but it does look fairly smooth how it's blending in. Probably need to do some work on the speed density table as well. The minimum octane table is matching, so that's probably a good thing for this particular individual, so that way he's not worrying about interpolating or basically averaging between two different tables and getting a value he's not looking for. So this is a good way to do that, just leaving them both the same. Doing okay there. And our timing, I'm not sure. Well, this is a minimum and a max. Normally I would like to keep a minimum in there. That's just me. You know, something that's going to be different, but I believe these are both the same. I'm not sure if these are Evo weight tables or what they are. They're a lot less than stock, so I would probably, you know, well, no, let me see. Bear with me. Yeah, it looks like just a small portion here. This might be the stock table that he's just modifying as far as that's concerned. Probably just the stock 2G tables that he's just modifying. So it might be doing alright, but might need to work on those timing tables a little bit. But other than that, the only real thing I can see that's really wrong about this particular issue that he's got with the car is just the miss here, which he's going to need to diagnose. And if we did some global, these two lines would line up a little bit more if we made some global adjustments as far as that's concerned, and then we can bring our speed density table back down and get it back into check on the upper end where we're over 100. So. But anyway, just want to go over that. That's it for this particular video. I'll make more when I can make them. If y'all have any requests, just let me know. So y'all have a good one.